Hello. Welcome to the Daily Smokes Presents the Happiest Hour with me. I always want to do it like they do on the radio. It's your girl. Like now, Danessa Bowling, Lady D.
Yeah.
As the fellas have decided to call me Lady D. So this is Talk About It Thursday, the happiest hour.
And why do we
Lady
call
D.
it the happiest hour?
Because we're all about wellness. And when you live well, you are happier. So, the happiest hour. Welcome to the happiest hour.
Cool.
So every month when we do these wellness talks, this is not a lesson. I do want to be clear about this. These are not lessons. These are conversations. We're going to have courageous conversations. And so that's what these are monthly, courageous conversations.
Okay.
And through these courageous conversations, you have a more happy and fulfilling life. Thus, the happiest hour. Okay. First things first, we have to pay bills. So, our sponsors, Bangin' 832 Radio. You can catch past episodes of the Daily Smoke Sundays at 7 p.m. It's www.banging832.com. Tamia's Touch of Care, Massage Therapy. Tamia Anderson. Get you a life, get a massage. Tamia is very good.
Touch my
body. Okay, yes, yeah. And she's a personal trainer. I always have to throw that part out there too. Because she's a personal trainer. Tamia was one of my accountability folks.
Veteran-owned business too. If you want to support a veteran and a black-owned business, please reach out to her.
Yes, and she's such a sweetheart.
Yes.
She is. She probably gonna kill me for calling her a sweetheart, but she'll be all
right. She'll be all right.
Okay.
If it's true, it's just true.
It is true. It's very true. And then the South Park Coalition is having their 35th anniversary concert coming up.
35th anniversary.
On September 10th. They're going to have their 35th anniversary concert from 8 to 2 at the Scout Bar. That's on Egret Bay Boulevard. So it's out there like Clear Lake area, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you can get your tickets on Eventbrite. Pre-sale $25. VIP if you want that raw treatment, $50. $30 if you wait till the last minute you decide to get them at the door. Okay? And then we want to support the Buy Black Marketplace. The ultimate pop-up experience. So I really recommend going to the Buy Black Marketplace. If you've never been, go. Go. So many small business owners, so many unique finds. You find all kind of good stuff there. For me, I buy a lot of jewelry there because I like a lot of unique pieces and stuff like that, handmade jewelry. So I like to go there, and you can find them in all price ranges. I bought stuff for as little as $10, handmade right there on the spot, and I bought stuff that costs more,
right.
But they're very unique items. So sometimes, especially with my more Afrocentric pieces, you won't find somebody else with that exact same piece.
Okay.
So they're very unique, but also you get like all kind of stuff. They have candles and body products and clothing and books and I even found out about steaming your yoni there.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I don't know why, but that's a term that was just funny hearing it come out of your mouth. Because I've only ever seen that on like people talk about that on like Instagram and stuff. Yeah. So that's funny. Okay.
Yeah, you find out about steaming and yoni.
I've heard of Yanni. I thought it was Yanni, but it's Yoni.
Yoni. I don't know. Okay. From New Orleans. We changed the dialect.
No problem. So Yoni steaming. I'm familiar with it.
It's your ya.
And then
And of course, if you want to find us.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to find us, okay, the Daily Smoke, you're going to go to www.dailysmoke.com, and that's more information on all of our affiliates and sponsors.
And if you want to donate, please hit up our Cash App.
Yes,
at
please.
$TD Smoke. It's $TD Smoke. We accept dollars, nickels, change, whatever you got. We'll take it. So please feel free to donate. We appreciate it. And we do have merch up on our website. You know, we do. We got some T-shirts and some mugs and stuff. Nothing fancy, but if y'all, don't want to just give money away, you can buy something, and we still get a little piece of that.
You saw that promo move right there. Yeah. Okay, so today on the couch I have Jonathan, the birthday boy. Well, it's the day after, but yeah, the birthday boy.
Right.
And then you decided to go ahead and hang out with me too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's tell them who you are.
I am Evelyn Jewel Pierce.
Yes.
Our resident queen mother and author.
So if you did not watch the show with her on it yesterday, after you finished watching this one, go back and watch that one too. Okay. So, Jonathan.
Yes, ma'am.
Any idea why I asked you to sit on the sofa with me today?
Oh, I have several ideas, but I'm sure you're going to tell me why. Let's find out.
Well, so here's my thought on birthdays.
Okay.
I believe birthdays start off the new year of everyone's life.
I agree.
And so, since it was your birthday, I thought it would be a good time for us to reflect back on 4 months ago. Was it 4 months ago? About 4 months ago at this point.
With your first
With the first event you attended, which was the one on spiritual wellness.
Yes.
And that was one that kind of...
It was powerful. That was a powerful event.
Yeah.
It was a powerful event.
So I was kind of interested. I said, Jonathan is perfect for this conversation because that was really how we first really kind of connected as far as when I was planning to do the workshop on spiritual wellness and you came to that one, even though y'all thought y'all were just coming there to like sit there and just watch, and then you got engaged in the conversation.
I made him cry. So
I mean, he was emotionally moved by the experience.
And what's funny is the older I get, it seems like the easier that is to do.
Yeah.
Because I've had to, and part of what I learned from attending your events and some of the conversations I've had subsequently is that I realize how much as men we are taught to repress emotions and hold things back and not let that kind of thing out because of course it's perceived as weak or feminine or all these negatives are attributed to you when you're a man and you attempt to show
false
emotions.
narratives.
Right. I mean, even from when we're little boys, you crying? You better suck that up. Man up. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So having dealt with that my whole life, of course, as I've gotten older and I'm starting to, I guess you could say, become more emotionally aware. It really is easier to get me to connect with emotions that can bring tears to my eyes. Now I found out.
Yeah.
And it at first it bothered me. It bothered. I was like, "What's wrong with me?" But that just goes to show you how used I was to thinking of that in a negative light.
Yeah.
And then to be able to get to a point now where when I feel that, I embrace it. I just roll with it. I don't try to push it down or suppress it. If tears actually well up out of my eyes for whatever reason, whether that's a positive or a negative reason, I'm gonna let them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because that means that what I'm feeling is so powerful for me at that moment that this is the way my body is choosing to express that.
Yeah.
And I refuse to try to repress that or fight against that because that's natural.
Yes, very natural. And I mean, it's a perfect lead into what I wanted to talk about, which was revisiting that whole spiritual wellness conversation. Because honestly, you're saying your emotions. And yes, it is your emotions, but those emotions are spirit driven.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
And so what we're really talking about is that your spirit is starting to come alive or started to come alive. And from the spirit flows all of the things that we feel. So our emotions and things, they flow from our spirit. So when you start getting in touch with, well, this is what I believe, this is what I value, this is what is true for me, this is what is important for me, then yes, those things will generate emotions. And so I think that maybe what happened at the event was there was some beliefs that got tapped into. And when I say those beliefs, I'm not just talking about the positive ones either. Some of the negative ones start to come out, and those can like really bring some things. But I think it's a part of the healing process. It's like at some point the spirit decides, I'm tired, I'm way down, I need to come out, I need to live, I need to breathe, I need to exhale, I need to say whatever it is that I want to say from the inside, you know. And for those who are Christians, it's such a it's a poor representation of what we say we believe and what we follow when we tell men not to cry because Jesus wept.
All right, sister.
Okay.
And I ain't gonna preach. I'm not gonna preach.
I know. I like where you went with that. I do like where you went with that. I like where you
But
went with that.
Jesus wept.
That's right.
And so if we are to model Christ, those who are Christians, that we are to model
Right.
Christ, then how do we tell a man that he can't cry
Mm-hmm.
when even Jesus wept?
All right now.
True.
I'm with it.
So I think, honestly, that is the truest expression of humanness and manhood when a man is brave enough to cry. You are literally embodying the spirit of God itself.
And I'll say this, just to kind of piggyback off what you said. I don't believe it should be brave. It should be normal.
Yeah.
It should be normal. Right now, yeah, there is a certain amount of bravery. And don't get me wrong, anybody who knows, like me and the guys, we joke and play and tease each other all the time, like they tease me about crying.
Right.
But, so, I don't care.
Right.
You know.
That's why you get longer hugs than they do.
What was that movie with Johnny Depp, Cry Baby? Where he got all the girls by crying, drop a tear. But
Sorry.
you done made me lose my point. She loves to do that to me.
I'm sorry. He's such a kid.
Believe me, I checked out that the one where you and she really locked up together.
Yeah.
I watched that 3 times today.
The first
Really?
3 times. I'm telling you, it was therapeutic.
Thank you. That's the goal. So I'm so glad you stayed. Stick with us, because that's the goal.
And now here's the other thing. I mean, you let Brother Jam know. I know that was deep. That was I had to check on you.
Yeah.
She sure did.
I mean, like, golly, you think this is not therapeutic? I watched it 3 times, and I got something every time. I felt it.
Oh, that's so validating.
And
And when I say validating, not isn't making me feel good as it is, it's validating for me and saying, okay, yes, this is valid. This is what you were called to do. This is what you should be doing. Because even this, for me, is a spiritual walk for me. It's a faith walk for
Y'all
me.
got me wanting to go to the next event.
Yes, ma'am. And it is coming.
that's exactly what
It is coming. October. I'm actually going to go and secure the space on Friday and lock in the date.
Uh-oh. Yay.
Yay. Yeah. We're going to have a different space this time.
Did y'all bring no Popeyes chicken?
No, Lord. Oh, no. She's trying to traumatize me.
She watched that episode too.
Traumatize me.
When
No,
you say
ma'am.
CW episode, she
Oh my goodness, they traumatized me with that. They traumatized me with that. Yeah,
No,
they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, all right, she from Louisiana.
right? No, it was not okay.
Love
It was
that
not
chicken
okay.
from
It was
Popeye.
not, and I do, but not then. Not then.
They say they're not gonna do it.
No.
We gonna hold them to their word.
No, Lord, no, please, no. I'm gonna make sure of that. No, my control issues will be on full blast. No. Well, not
yourself, huh?
nope, that's it. I would no.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, and we don't have any structure to this conversation either. So if we go over here and then make the loop and come back, it just is what it is.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
I'm so glad you liked it.
I loved it.
I'm so glad you liked it.
Now some of them, I mean, some of them are a little deep, you know, and then some of them like, you know what, guys, I gotta like, but I ain't getting it. But I go back to it,
Yeah.
and then it comes in a little bit. I was like, oh,
with a little
okay.
repetition.
See, I think that even though the viewers are viewing, I don't think that they're really realizing what we have in the People's Podcast.
No.
I mean, therapy is in it.
Yeah.
I mean, a new life is whatever you want. I have grown just watching episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, and the even the sweet tooth thing. I was like, oh my goodness. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's good too.
Mm-hmm.
But I am telling you, the word mortician, I was on that with her, but I learned something. Y'all, you might not believe it, but it's the truth anyhow. I go to sleep with it on.
Yeah.
I wake up, and if it's off,
Uh-huh.
it's back on.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got mine set where I got nothing but back-to-back podcast.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
You see what that means is that there is something that's
wow.
happening here that is touching you
For sure.
spiritually. That touches your spirit. That is speaking to your
I
spirit.
believe it. I really
Yeah.
believe that this
This
is
is
just the beginning, though.
Yeah.
I believe that. I mean, even I didn't even really realize until I began watching you and he interact, and I mean, it was. I didn't know y'all hadn't been knowing each other forever.
No.
I really didn't.
No.
But and see, that's the other thing. I know how old he is. I know when your 54th is coming, you're going to say, I mean,
You
You know what? Today starts my 54-day countdown.
all right. Look at that. Look
So
at
this was the
that.
other part of it.
Okay.
That was the second part of it. It is your birthday, but it also starts the 54-day
Wow.
countdown
Wow.
to my 54th birthday.
Okay.
That's something.
Yes, and so this year was life in 53D. 53 years old, Danessa, 50 life, and I'm theming.
We got
And so life in 53D was me. God told me last year for my birthday that he needed me to live it out loud and on purpose and very transparent and to trust whatever happened along the way, good or bad. I had to live it out loud.
I believe
And
it.
so I had to do that. And so this year has been life in 53D. Next year, and this actually came about during June as I was volunteering. I'm a member of the Order of the Eastern Star. And we had a service project for the Alzheimer's Foundation.
Okay.
And I went to meet with the lady who was over the longest day, which is an event that happens in June to
Okay.
raise awareness about Alzheimer's. And she was like, I was going on my way here to the podcast, and she goes, "You just have so much going on. How do you do it? And you just keep smiling and everything else." And I said, "Yeah, Well, and I told her, I said, "Well, my mom died at 54 years old, and I'm 53. And then my aunt died at 61, and my aunt died a very angry person. And I decided that I needed to live my life purposely in the way that I wanted my story to end. So I knew I didn't want to be a bitter and angry person. I knew I didn't want to do that. And so I just started living on purpose, putting out the energy that I want to get back out of the world. And so she gave me this. She said, "You know what? I think 54 should be your joy year." And I was like, I love that. So this is my 54 days to joy countdown. Started
Love
today.
that. I really do love that.
Today starts 54 days to joy. And then all of the year of being 54 years old will be all about things that bring joy and that generate joy. So it also made it very appropriate for me to start talking about spirituality today. And I called it, when we were trying to figure out a way to label what this whole conversation was going to be about. And I said, well, it's kind of the intersection of religion and spirituality. Like, where does religion and spirituality meet? Because many people mesh them and they get them confused, and they're not the same thing.
They are not the same thing, but
No.
they can be related. Right.
Yes. And your sense of spirituality can come from your religious beliefs. It can be driven by your religious belief, but that's not your spirit. Your spirit is actually shown in the way you live out your day to day. Because I'm telling you, I've encountered people who say they are a Christian, and I identify as a Christian. I remember, I'll tell y'all this one story. So, and I worked out. It was at a jail unit out there in Atascocita, and one of my coworkers she's a lesbian female. And so when she was terminated, she was still able to come back and go to the graduation of the clients and stuff like that. And so she came back to the graduation and she asked me to go to lunch with her. And so we were getting ready to go to lunch, and the person who was my supervisor at the time said to me, "You're going to lunch with her?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, Don't you know who she is? Don't you know what her lifestyle is like? Aren't you supposed to be a Christian?
Wow. Okay.
And I said, I looked at her and I said, I wouldn't serve your God.
I hear you, sister. Amen.
And she said, I said, I will not serve your God. Because if you are the representation of what you believe, I wouldn't serve your God because he's mean and he's hateful and he's too good to even sit down at the table with another human being.
Right.
I wouldn't serve your God. I would want nothing to do with him. And I walked out. And I think it's to show you how God works. So that made me a target. So I was the next person that got terminated. I was the next person that got
That's
terminated.
right. You did say you was your supervisor. So.
Yeah, I was the next person that got terminated. But it was cool because you know what? Show you how God works. So a few months later, I had heard some different things that were going on because the substance abuse counseling community, any professional community is its own community. And everybody knows everybody. So I had been hearing different little things. And sure enough, at this point, I had went ahead and I had launched my own business. And I was a subcontractor running a treatment facility. And I'm sitting at my desk and there's this knock on my door. And I turn around and it's her. And she has her resume in hand.
Ooh.
And she looks at me and she says, well, the tables have turned. And now I have to come to you for a job. Now, I ain't gonna lie. My first instinct was
You're right, but he ain't looking. But these are real world situations that people find themselves in, and you have to either be able to stand on what you say you believe.
because I'm gonna take not Idris wife. I'm tell Idris wife. I'm coveting your husband.
Married?
Yeah, Idris married.
I thought he was.
Yeah.
I thought he was like. I thought he was like George Clooney. He was one of them super duper bachelors.
No. He married.
Okay.
She got COVID and everything from
Oh.
COVID. Yeah. No, I covet. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
What? Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens though, but that's the thing. You have to either stand on what you know. If those are the scale or the measurement that you're using for morality, then you have to hold true to that. Otherwise, what are you?
Yeah.
You're not anything.
Right.
You know.
And I don't want to seem like we've been speaking on Christians, Because this is with any faith. This is with
Right.
any faith.
Right.
In any faith. I can say, I can give you another scenario, totally different faith, Islam.
Okay.
So, I use the term loose. I had someone I knew who was Muslim. And at the time, you know, he would always tell me about, he was always talking about Christianity and you know, you Christians this, and I used to be one of y'all, this and that, blah, blah. And, you know, y'all are very divided, this, that, and the other. Of course, I didn't know much about Islam. I didn't. And I had my own little stereotypes, which for many people do when you start talking about religion and faith, because he would always correct me that Islam is not a religion, it's a faith. And I was like, okay. Well, anyway, so I'm like, you know, so in the process of, you know, trying to understand some things he would say to me, I would, you know, research stuff. So I remember one time a friend of mine, he told me, say, you need to talk to some sisters. And I said, okay. And so it was during Ramadan. And I had decided I really wanted to understand Islam. So I decided I was going to practice Ramadan. Mm-hmm. Not true to it, of course, because I had to do it my way.
Yeah.
You know, but I did the whole thing, like the fasting and the prayers and stuff like that. And so the prayer part, I must say, and I remember my best friend was having a fit. She was like, that boy trying to convert you over to Islam. You switching over this. And I'm like, I'm not switching. But how can you disagree with what you haven't taken time to understand?
Right.
And I wanted to understand it. Like, how can I just say, no, I don't believe in that, and I hadn't taken time out to understand it?
Right.
So I ordered books. I read up on some things, but I also tried to put into practice the principles of it. And so the I will tell you, the praying 5 times a day,
Mm-hmm.
that praying at a certain time, what it did for me, I would be reading things out the Quran and reading the books and stuff, but then it would make me go back to the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I found myself cross-referencing stuff all of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he had told me that I needed to talk to a sister. And so went to an event for one of my friends. Her daughter was running for Miss Texas or something at the time. And she was Muslim. And so they weren't eating it. She was like, it's Ramadan. I said, oh yeah, I can ask you. And so I started telling her some things, and she looked at me and she said, oh honey, is he Sunni? And I was like, I don't know. And she said, yeah, you know, they're different sects. And I said, oh, I didn't know. I said, first of all, my stereotype, and you know, I would hear the stuff in the media about Shiite Muslims and this, that, and other. I didn't know what any of that meant.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't registering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie, I assumed all black people who was Muslim was Nation of Islam. If you were black and you was Muslim, I just assumed you was Nation.
Right.
I didn't know. I did not know. I did not know they were all the same. I didn't know the same. So I'm telling you, so this, but again, I'm telling you guys the truth about why it is so important to understand the difference between religion and spirituality when all this stuff intersects. So she was like, oh yeah, he's Sunni, honey, run the other way.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so her ex-husband was there, and he used to be a Nation of Islam minister.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know there were all these differences and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, I asked him, I said, so are you Sunni? And he said, well, yes, what else would I be? And I was like, I had known this guy for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, honestly, I thought you were Nation of Islam. Oh my goodness, I might as well have cursed him and all this.
Oh yes.
And the generations to come and all the ones who fought.
That
might as well have cursed
that was an insult.
everybody.
Yeah.
He was so upset with me. I insulted him.
Yeah.
They might as well be Christians and all this good stuff. I was just floored by it, right?
Yep.
So wrote that out. So then I'm with a client one day,
Mm-hmm.
and this client is suicidal, and he's Muslim.
Oh, okay.
Now, if I'm dealing with someone who says they're Christian, I knew how to get in the Bible,
Yeah.
and pull up some stuff to say
Yeah.
to try to help him, but I'm like, I don't know Islam, so I called him,
Okay.
and I'm like, help me. This guy's suicidal. Can you help me? Give me something to say. You're like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I said, well, what does your book say? What does give me something from your belief system that I can say to him to help him tap back into life. And he said, I don't know anything about that. We don't believe in suicide. So I don't know what to tell you to tell him. I can't even identify with that. And I said, you are a sucky ass Muslim. I said, you are a sucky ass Muslim.
Right.
Because if you can't even pull anything from that which you believe to save a fellow believer of your faith, you are a sucky ass representative of what you say you believe in.
You mean yourself?
Yeah, like I didn't understand that. And so he ended up asking me later, was the reason that I was so close-minded to Islam because of him. And I said, yeah. There's nothing about you that makes Islam attractive to me.
Wow. How did you take that?
So you kind of hurt by it, but you know what? Work on this shit then.
But I mean, yeah, nothing wrong with that. You were being honest, because honestly, in that scenario, like what?
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm not doubting everybody. I'm just saying, like in that instance for me.
but it's just like you said about the lady who was a Christian.
Yeah.
You were a bad representation of what a Christian, at least from what I understand, a Christian is supposed to be. You suck at this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it doesn't. It's not the religion that's the issue. It's the representation of it in the person.
And that's so you just hit the nail on the head as to why this conversation was so important. Because so many people can't separate spirit from religion.
True.
And so
Okay,
you
I see
have
what you're
people
saying.
out here who are in pain, who are hurting, and they don't have that thing to tap into. They don't know how to get there. They don't even know. When you start talking about, you think about at the event, when I started talking about spirituality, so many people did not know what that is.
Right.
When I say spiritual wellness, they're like, they don't know what that is. And I'm like, well, that's your values. That's your beliefs. That's what guides you. And where your spirit is will direct every other part of that wellness will. Your spirit will direct your emotions.
True.
Because I'm going to tell you something. If you're not spiritually well and life start throwing punches at you, your emotions are going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
The same thing can happen to you, though. You know, you can have a bad day, a bad moment, something very negative happens. And depending on where you are spiritually will determine how you respond to that.
Right.
Exactly.
In all things, you know, if you have a relationship with what you believe in, then you can tap into that in those hard moments. You can, I said in all things, like even getting ready for the show, it started pouring down raining. I was looking for my rain boots. And I had another pair that's white. I didn't want to wear the white. I'm like, yeah, it's going to stand out too much. I wanted these on. I could only find one. And so I have been taught, and I believe it now. I've tested the waters. God has invested in everything that concerns me. So in that moment, I decided to invite God into looking for my boots. So I said, miracle of God, come through.
All right.
And reached under my bed, and there was my other boot. Now, I had tore up the room looking for my boot. I had pulled shoes out. I could not find my boot. And I was giving up. I had with the white one on. And I was like, I don't want to wear these. But it would take a miracle of God for me to find the other one right now because I made a mess. And I said, miracle of God, come through. And reached under my bed. And there was my boot.
Lord.
God is concerned. I believe that.
Amen.
But if I were to get all the stress and like, nothing goes right for me. I can't even find the right boot. I can't find it. Like, but that's how people do.
Right. Some people just collapse into
I live my life like that.
a mess at the slightest little adversity,
Yeah.
And it's like, what is your framework? What are you built on?
Exactly.
What are you built on? Because I don't have a religion to lean back on, but I do have certain principles that I hold as valuable and have found over and over again to be true.
Yeah.
And because I stand on those, it's like, even like you said, when you're dealing with those times where chaos is happening,
Yeah.
I've been dealing with car issues, and you know how that can be. Jesus.
Right.
Especially when you broke. I mean, if you somebody who could just put your car in the shop and you ain't, it's
Right.
$1,200, okay, cool.
Uh-huh.
But if you regular working person, $1,200 don't come easy.
Right.
So dealing with that, and I'm just like, I had to pause at a moment because I was stressed out, just dealing between work and dealing with the car issues. But at a moment, I had to stop myself and go, okay, look, you're handling this as the best you can. As far as everything else, just keep doing what you normally do, handle your business, and go about your day. But stop tripping over what you really don't have any control over.
Exactly.
That's right.
Do the best you can.
Yeah.
And once I made myself pause and appreciate the situation and for what I was actually up against and how well I was actually handling it, then I was able to okay, I'm good now. I can approach this calmly and rationally, and the situation started to resolve itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The things that I needed to have happen started to happen once I got my shit together.
Yeah.
And pulled myself back into line because, like you said, my emotions were starting to go
Emotions going all over the place.
But I had to recenter myself and bring myself back to my center.
Yeah.
You took control.
Yeah. I like to say, so how is it really with your soul?
For me personally.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you would have to believe in a soul to be able to answer that question.
And when I say soul, let me clarify. I'm talking about at the core of you. How is it really?
And that's what I was going to ask for clarification. So when you say soul, I take it to mean the core of a person, the essence of a person, the things that you hold internally that are you.
Yes.
Okay.
The core of you. So how is it at your core? Because when we talk about spiritual wellness and your spirituality, again, it's not about religion.
Right.
This is about the meaning of your life, your purpose, what brings you peace. How do you find peace? About creating balance. That's your spirit. So when I say how is it with your soul, basically at the core of you, how is it for real?
Isn't it for some people, religion that's what it is for them?
For some people, yeah.
But okay, and so it is. For some people, religion is what it is for them. And that's so dangerous. It's so dangerous.
How about, now I usually say this, religion is not a relationship.
Exactly. That's why it's dangerous.
It's separate. Religion is carnal.
Yes.
It's fleshy. It has no spirit in it.
Right.
It's ceremony.
It can be religion has ceremony. It has rules and things like that.
Yeah.
And because so many people can't separate it from that sense of spirituality, when religion fails them, there goes their spirit.
The whole thing. Right. Yeah, that is.
Instead of being able to take it as a lesson.
Right.
Or even to ask, like, what's the lesson in this? I told you I wore my shirt today on purpose.
I love that shirt, by the way. You have some of the best t-shirts.
I know. They use the thoughts that I had. This one I actually ordered online. But because religion says turn the other cheek. And some people take that, they always turn that other cheek and, let folks get away with stuff.
Without understanding. They don't really understand.
They turn the other cheek, you're going to keep getting slapped.
Yeah, well, even Jesus had boundaries. God had boundaries. Allah had boundaries. They all, whatever it is, they have boundaries, right?
Jesus stood up on the table and was whipping people, so he flipping tables over and things.
I have that on a t-shirt too.
I know.
They also forget that when it wasn't time for them to put their hands on him, he disappeared in the crowd. All those little things like that. It wasn't time yet, and that's part of what I say the whole story of life is about.
Yeah.
And we miss it because I say, and I know it sounds comical sometimes, but I think that every baby should come with instruction.
I wish.
In a way they do. But
I'm talking
we all never read the instructions beforehand, though.
That's what I'm talking about.
If we read it beforehand, we probably wouldn't even have it. I'm saying if I had read the instructions beforehand, the oldest one at least wouldn't have got here.
Man.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. I just had a baby. I think I became a mama years later.
And see, if they had the instructions, then you would have been able to consider then.
Look, and talking about that, the girl requested money. Lord, hold on, people. Yeah.
See, parenting never stops.
It doesn't.
Once
And
you
I have
become
to
a parent, you're a
apologize.
parent forever.
No, when I thought it was born, first thing I said to myself, it's not about me no more.
True.
Yeah.
I gotta make sure this thing lives on for me.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
The nurses at my oldest birth, they made fun of me because they said they'd never seen a father just break down and cry like that. But after seeing her be born, and that was my first time ever seeing, like, I mean, you see things on TV, but they never show you everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I was not one of these men that was squeamish. I was going to be in the room. I wanted to be there. If you needed me, if something went wrong, I was going to be there. And I'm a firm advocate for men, especially in the hospital. I don't care what your relationship is with the mother. You need to be her advocate when it comes to the doctors and the nurses. You need to speak up for her.
Yeah.
They need to know that she's not just going to be run over because they professionals. And if she say something is wrong, something is wrong.
Yeah.
You know. But that's another side tangent.
Yeah. We're gonna cover that. We talk about relationships and stuff too.
And see, that's
Exactly.
another good part about the shows that I've seen where Brother Lowe's, Brother Jam, and Brother Run when he's here. But I've seen these two interact together so smoothly on subjects, and you can almost tell, well, you know, and that's what I love about Brother Jam. He teaches because he's not always in agreement with what's being said, but
None of
you
them
know,
are.
he expresses himself like, you know what? I love that guy.
Yeah, well, that's what we want to do, but that's why it's the People's Podcast.
Right.
Like, even in this conversation,
Want to convey.
I hope that it's clear
It
that
is
there are no
conveyed.
right or wrong answers here.
Right.
That's why I just wanted to hold this conversation. There are no right or wrong answers here. The bottom line of it is just, you know, your spirit is basically it's searching for spiritual wellness is about searching for the meaning and the purpose in your whole existence. Why are you here?
Amen.
Why are you here?
That's it.
And I think that why some people's spirits are so troubled is because they either have not identified why they're here or they don't believe it.
I was just going to say, some people don't even understand the question.
That's right.
They don't believe it. They don't know. They don't. You're right. They don't understand the question. So when I say, why are you here?
They're like,
And they're like, I don't know. But yet they have all of these yearnings, these things inside of them that they want to do or they want to say or they believe in, but they don't have that in them to really fight for it, to really get it out, that determination
I
to get out.
also believe in that same vein that a lot of people who are walking around homeless, mentally disturbed, have also had an encounter between the two of one pulling one way or trying to serve both sides. I don't always like to. Now, the reason why I say amen and hallelujah, all that kind of stuff, because that's me.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do know how to relate to atmosphere, higher power, or what, you know, I know how to use other terms, good, bad.
Yeah.
All of it is the same bottom line. And again, what I said earlier in my podcast episode, I talked. This thing is about spirits, and we have not been taught to understand life. Period.
No.
Now, people in this room, yeah, we got a taste of it, but we don't have all of it,
No,
and
ma'am.
that's why we're here together, learning. You're sharing. You're a clinician. You're a professional. You're here. I don't know all of what Brother Jam does, but if I listen to enough podcasts, I'm going to know everybody's background.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I am hearing and seeing.
Yes. And I will tell you, even as a clinician in the room, I will tell you, every time I have gotten ready to teach something, I have to go through it first. Literally. I always go through it first. Like, whatever it is I'm prepping for, like, even with this episode, not so much my spirit being tested, but I've dealt with the spirit of others around me. And yes, I must say, yes, I did have to check in with my spirit a couple times and make sure that I wasn't taking what was going on with someone else on. as making it about me.
All right.
When there was a time in my past where I would have made it about me, but that again spoke to what was in my spirit and what I believe. And so I live it. Everything, like literally, by the time we get to October, oh man, I'm gonna be so armed and ready for social and relational wellness.
Ooh, I can't wait.
I'm telling you, I'm living it. I'm living it. I'm living. Yeah, social and relational wellness. And y'all know emotional wellness. I was like, do I have to do this right now, God? Do I? Do we have to be in emotional wellness in real time? Right. So I think, and I said all that to say this, nobody ever really, I think we don't ever fully always have it together. It's a constant learning.
That again is why we need each other.
Yes.
Because, like you were saying, realistically speaking, for a very large portion of my life, I had this impression that everybody else had things together when I was the one, like, why don't I have my stuff together like everybody else? Or that was the impression that I lived under. And that was a falsehood.
It was.
That was a falsehood. I started to, as I got more in touch with people, especially in my own age bracket, unfortunately for a long time, it was like my life was just kids, but that's a whole nother conversation. But once I really started to connect with people in my own age bracket, I really started to realize, it's like, okay,
He's all fucked up.
none of us really have a clue as to what we're doing, but we all are trying to make, for those of us who are doing well, I guess you could say, we all are trying our best to figure this stuff out as we go. And so just like when the guy started the podcast, and I was just, back then I was just sitting at home watching, and I was just like, oh, but wait, y'all missed this, and y'all didn't, somebody should have been there to say this. Next thing you know, somebody called me and was like, you want to come on?
Ha.
Come say this.
Yeah.
And haven't left.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
but I realized
Yeah,
that
it wasn't on my radar. I'll tell you that.
I realized that the opportunity to be able to learn
Yeah.
and to be able to depend on the knowledge of my brothers, to be able to depend on the knowledge of the people that we interview, to be able to use those resources. You can look up stuff online all day, yes.
Yeah.
You can check facts and figures. But sometimes you need a real human connection
Right.
to be able to understand the nitty gritty of a situation.
You're going to have to repeat that in October. For real.
That's why I agree with Ms. Pierce. We got to do this together.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Vanessa says, this community we're building, we're going to be able to do
Right.
this together.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And even I think even that is like for me, it's a spirit-led thing.
Yes.
I think even that is, again, Life in 53D, I didn't see this. I didn't see
Did we
this.
blindside you?
I didn't see it, but here's the thing. Someone had talked to me, Timmy. Okay, Bobby, the black hands was moving. I had to make sure I was deciphering the
No
codes of
problem.
the
I
black
understand.
hands. Okay,
Got 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Thank you. Dang it, Bobby. You know I got ADD. But it had been said to me before that I should consider doing a podcast, that I should consider doing a blog, something like that. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So I didn't see this coming at all. I didn't see it coming at all. But I think the whole walk of it all was very spirit-led. It's like so what I will say in this time we have left, when it comes to tuning into your spirit, you have to practice daily.
All right.
You have to put things into practice in your day-to-day. So you have to take time to evaluate, well, what do I think? What do I value? What do I believe? What principles am I living by?
Right.
You have to sit down with that every day. You have to examine that. You have to ask yourself, is your sense of spirituality, is it driving your decisions? What is driving your decisions? If I believe that, so there are, it's the Daily Smoke. My daughter asked me, she said, Mama, you're LCDC. How you going to be on a show called The Daily Smoke? They smoking on the show. I was like, I ain't smoking.
Right.
One thing, but also, I truly believe that I don't have the room to sit in the seat of judgment. That's not my seat.
True.
And so I'm gonna live my life the best of my ability by what is guiding me, and I'm gonna let the high power sort it all out at the gate. That's not for me to judge what somebody else is there, because who knows who the hell is right? I don't know. So I don't judge people what's right. So you have to really like sit with that and use your spirituality to drive your decisions. So what happens then, everybody I encounter is a blank slate.
All right.
So when I walk in here, I'm not judging people for what their vices are.
Exactly.
Because I got mine too.
Oh, and that was a question too that came up when you asked Brother Jam, don't you ever see people, how you can scope the room and you can feel like, oh, I can already tell, like you say, I'm always the one that finds the cheater in the room.
Yeah.
You remember that? And see, this is what I love about him. He said, well, no, I've never felt like that about it. But I was like, wow. Whoa. And I kind of thought everybody did.
I mean,
I kind of thought everybody did, but he says no.
He said
no. I've never. He said, I get what you're saying, but no,
not that particular, not that particular thing.
Like, I mean, those are admirable qualities that you want to develop within yourself. If you really want to be right, if you want to be fair, those are qualities you want to take on. So,
but by that same token, just like I may have that as an attribute, as positive, I still have other things that I struggle with as a negative.
Right.
And those things that I do struggle with, I learn from talking to my brothers. I learn from talking with our guests, and you've helped me. You've helped me so much, and I don't even think you realize how much you have.
Yeah, I believe you're right too.
But
I believe you're right.
the thing about it is that I've been able to draw on the strength of these individuals, and thankfully I've been able to surround myself with some really strong individuals, and I can see, even in the areas where I may lack, I can see examples of what that strength would look like. And so I can try to emulate those things. You know, I don't have to try to imagine it, because if I look around my circle, I see the strength that I need, and I can draw on that. Even though I may not have a conversation with you. Bobby dealing with issues with his mom, and my mom being 70 plus years old and dealing with losing her vision and stuff like that. That's a preamble for me. I know I'm going to be where he is shortly, but watching him deal with it and his strength, I can draw on that when I have to deal with it. And that's really the thing. You can't, and I hate to use the term, but you can't win at this life by being a solo player.
Say that, bro.
Humanity is not a solo sport.
Not at all.
It takes a team to human. That's how we're designed to operate. And if we're not existing in that space, if you don't have friends, or if you don't have family, or sometimes your friends might be your family, if you don't have those people around you who can support you and be able to provide you with the examples that you need, you might need to change your friends.
True. And
like she said, find better spirits around you.
Right, find better spirits. And I also always say, if you're the most impressive person in your social circle, you need a new circle. For real. For real. So what, I don't know how many minutes the hand got left on it. Okay, that's the hand. Y'all gotta see the hand. If everybody was like, why she keep tapping her phone? Because I didn't have anything printed out, so I had some notes on my phone for myself.
You can get that.
So couple things I wanna leave everybody with as we, you move forward with this conversation is, in trying to grow spiritually, read about other belief systems. Read about beliefs other than your own. Like I said, for me, what made me even more rooted and grounded in my beliefs as a Christian was I studied Islam. And I started cross-referencing stuff and looking up stuff, and but it kept bringing me back to what I believe.
That's right.
I think most people don't even know what they believe. You don't even know enough about what you believe. I would take, because I spend what I call my Jesus time every day. You read the same stories over and over and over again in the Bible. I was using the Bible Gateway app, and for a change, I read the footnotes.
Okay.
And when I read the footnotes, I was like, oh, whoa. And I think that happens at God's appointed time when he takes you deeper and deeper and deeper. But what I realized, this might hit you. Do you know that many of the stories in the Bible, many of the characters in the Bible, those names that they're having, I realized the other day, those names may not necessarily be factual. Those are character traits. And each one of those names has a definition that is a character trait of the person. So the story is not to, people get caught up in the story and they're missing the point. The point is about that character. Basically that virtue that person has. And I was actually reading the story. I was in the Book of Ruth.
Okay.
And they were talking about like Orpah and what her name meant, and Naomi and what her name meant, and why she changed her name from Naomi to Mara because Mara meant bitter. And then, you know, and so I was reading, I was like, oh man, we've been missing this. And nobody taught this. Nobody's taught us what this really means. Like, you know, that this is not necessarily about these people. We don't even know if that was their real name.
Right.
It's written to describe the character of the person. So not only do you...
Their real names, because their names in that time, in that area, they wouldn't have been named.
Wouldn't have been named that. Right.
This is what somebody put them at.
Right. And that's the other part of it is that you got to understand that every time it's translated, something changes.
That's right.
Right.
So you have to cross-reference this stuff. So read about the beliefs that, you know, other beliefs, but also study your own. Because it's constantly evolving. It's constantly revealing itself.
And it's alive.
Yeah, and it's a lot. It is. It's
Alive.
so alive. And so at the moment that you need it, that's when it comes up. Like for me, that was like very powerful for me. When I was like, oh wait, okay, because I was one of them people. I took issues with the story of Ruth and Boaz. I took issues with it, but when I understood that this was more a lesson on character, then I was like, oh, okay. So you want to do that? All right. You also want to keep your beliefs and your thoughts and use them to guide you. If this is what you say you believe, live like that.
Yeah.
You can't say you believe that all people have value and then treat people any kind of way. You really can't. So you got to live like what you believe. If you say you are of a certain faith, if you say, you know, if you say God is in control, okay, then when life start happening, you let God be in control.
All right.
Let God be in control, you know. Do like we did today. Share your beliefs. Share your values. In, you know, appropriately. There are some settings where you might not be able to hold those conversations.
Right.
But appropriately. But when you're sharing, you also have to be able to listen.
That's right.
And as a matter of fact, you want to practice listening twice as much as you talk, to be quite honest. Okay? And there's so much more, but the hand is done.
Well, praise.
The hand is done. So
This is great.
thank you for tuning in.
Wonderful.
Hit the like.
Yeah.
Like Lo says. And then tune in tomorrow for TGIF. And I'm sure the conversation will continue. What it be Friday tomorrow?
Yeah, because it's gonna air.
We're in the future right now.
Snap real quick.
We time traveled on the day we smoked. Thought y'all knew.
Yeah. I recorded tonight because I want to respect Los and his home and his family, everybody's time and everything.
This will be up tomorrow.
So this will be up tomorrow, and we will be on the chat.
Yes, for sure.
I know I will for sure. I'll be on the chat commenting, so we'll continue on.
Miss Pierce, I know you're not a gamer, but check me out on Saturday.
Yeah, because we'll have a Saturday show coming.
We do have a Saturday show coming
If
up.
y'all get cracked
Saturday on the podcast or a real live situation?
We're gonna be playing. It's gonna be recorded, but we're gonna be playing video games. It's called Black
Saturday.
Hands Arcade.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna start.
You
doing
gotta go
shows on
old school games so I can play.
We're gonna do some old school. We're gonna do
I
some
want
old
to do
school.
Centipede.
They got that.
Hey, all thing you have to do is just have,
He
make sure you
got
got $10 worth of quarters,
Yeah,
and it's an 8-drink minimum. You don't have to drink alcohol.
Where's it gonna be held?
We're gonna be right here.
Right here.
But we had
8 drinks.
he had centipede, but
I got it. He got me for a moment. I
he
got
had
it.
centipede, but it don't have a roller ball. You know,
It ain't the same.
you gotta
man.
have a
You got to-
roller
you got
ball and really get down with it. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
I had you have a rhythm when you
Yeah, yeah, that was the original flick of the
So
wrist.
Saturday, what time?
look at the wrist.
7?
Yes,
Okay.
So Danessa,
Now y'all. Oh, I'm sorry.
You
Go
know
ahead.
what next month we'll bring? I'm gonna talk about it on the happiest side.
If you don't,
I
that's
think we're
fine.
going to evolve over. So we talked. I would like to see in the comments if people think we need to revisit it or not, or if we can kind of like move on to the next
Okay.
thing, which I think will be,
So-
how this drives our emotions.
Leave us a comment below and let us
Yes.
know what you think. Should we
Maybe
should
it
we
should be,
continue this conversation, or is this enough where we can move on to something different?
Yes.
Or maybe it should be because like your next event is beginning of October,
Yeah.
so this would be at the beginning of October itself.
Yeah.
Maybe start talking about that, bring that in.
Yeah. It's actually going to be like we're going to do the October episode, and then pretty much that following weekend
It'll be that.
it'll be our social and relational wellness episode.
Okay.
And when we start talking about the event, when I actually get the concrete date and time locked in, I'm telling y'all, you don't want to miss this one.
I
You
don't
better
wanna
ask them.
miss it.
They missed emotional wellness.
Trying
They
to
missed.
tell you.
I'm telling you.
And
It's
y'all
no joke.
aren't going to be able to do any work. She wants you to absorb everything that you can get from.
And I've said it once, I'll say it again. The woman is talented. She has a skill for being able to explain things in a way that you will be able to understand. And if this conversation didn't teach you anything else about the way, I was just saying, the way she can present concepts and difficult ideas, the way she can present them in ways that makes it really easy to understand and relatable. So you think it's impressive on camera? It's way more impressive in person. So make sure you come out.
Lady D, leave us out.
Okay, this has been the Daily Smoke Presents Talk About It Thursday with myself, Danessa Bowling, otherwise known as Lady D. It's your girl. Okay, it's your girl and my guest today joining me on the sofa. Thank you, Queen Mother, for staying. I feel so honored. I do. And
Brother Jim, as always.
happy
I got your back.
birthday to you.
He's here with the Marilyn Monroe.
And y'all heard Lowe's in the background, and
Brother Black
Brother
Man,
Bobby.
over here.
we are out.
All right.